Hello everyone, today I will explain you all how the video streaming takes place over the network using the RTP and RTSP protocol. We will understand how the users are able to play audio and video straight from the internet without having to download media files to device. So now we will look at the RTSP protocol. RTSP is an application layer protocol. It uses TCP port 554. RTSP protocol establishes and controls either a single or several times synchronized stream over continuous media or such as video and audio. It does not typically deliver the continuous streams itself, although interleaving of the continuous media stream with the control system is possible. RTSP acts as a network remote control for multimedia servers. So now we'll look at the RTP protocol. RTP protocol is designed to handle real-time traffic like audio and video of the internet. Is known as the real-time transport protocol. RTP must be used with the UDP. It does not have any delivery mechanism like multicasting or port numbers. RTP supports different formats like MPEG and MJPEG. It is very sensitive to packet delays and less sensitive to the packet loss. So now we will look at the RTSP requests. These are the basic RTSP requests which we can send. We will be looking at 4 of them, which are setup, play, pause and tear down. So in the setup request, it specifies how a media stream must be transported before a play request is sent. So in the play request, it starts the media transmission by telling the server to start sending the data. And in the pause request temporarily hold the video stream delivery. And at last, tear down. This request terminates the session entirely and stop all media streams. So now we will look at how RTSP works over the internet. So when a user or an application attempts to stream video from a remote source, the client device sends an RTSP request to the server to determine the available options such as setup, play, pause and record, which we saw in the previous slide. Then server then returns a list of types of the request it can accept through the RTSP protocol. Once the client knows how to make a request, it transmits a media description request to the streaming server, and the server responds with a description of the media. So from there, the client sends a setup request, and the server responds with the information about the transport mechanism. Once the setup process is complete, the client initiates the streaming process by telling the server to send the bit stream, which is a binary sequence using the transport mechanism specified in the setup request. So after that, our server will be sending the audio and video data using the RTP protocol, and it is also same for the pause. So at the end, a close request will be sent from the client and also from the server. So now we will look at the implementation using the Python.
Now let us look at the video streaming by Python code. So there are two sides. First is server side and second one is client side. So this is server side. In server side, first we are collecting a server port from the system arguments that were provided while starting the server. Now we will try to assign a server port to the server side, but if we will fail to assign a server port, then error will occur and we will print message that we are unable to connect to the client. For connecting to the client, we will first initialize RTSP socket by this code, and then we will bind RTSP socket. Now while binding to the RTSP socket, we have allowed maximum 5 plain connections to this RTSP socket. Then we will run one while loop, and then from we will initialize one client info directory for storing data about client's messages and what client is trying to access from server. For that, first we have assigned RTSP socket in a directory and accepted the request from client that client want to connect with our server. So this is like HTTP connection. Now let us look at that how server worker will help a server to communicate with our client. So this is server worker class. In server worker, first we are assigning RTSP methods to our 4 state. Let me show you which are 4 state transition I am talking about. So these are our 3 states. First is init, second is ready, and third is playing. And for going from first state to second state and more, we have 4 operations. First is setup, second is play, third is push, and fourth is tear down. So we have assigned created 4 methods. Then there are 3 states as I have told before. We are assigning 0 to init state, 1 to ready state, and 2 to playing state. And our current state is init state. And these are messages that we will send to client. First is OK 200, second is file not found error, and third is connection error. Now we will create one directory here, and this created directory we will assign server's client info directory to this server worker client directory by this code. Then we will run our server worker by this function and create one thread and start that thread. Now let us look at receive RTSP request function. In receive RTSP request function, basically this function receives request from client and decode that data and store that data into message. Here by while loop we are continuously listening from client, and whenever client send us data, we will store that data and decode and store that in this data variable. And if client has sent us data, then we will print that data is received. We will decode that data and call process RTSP request function. This process RTSP request function will basically process this data that was sent by client, that whether client want to play video, pause video, whatever client want to do. For listening and what clients want to say us, we are extracting request type and from the data by this code. Then we are extracting file name, sequence number from the data. Now if our request type that was collected here, if that is set up and our state is in it. So let me again go back to state diagram and tell you how it is doing. So here initially we will be in the init state, and if setup call come from client, then we will move to ready state. But if any other call like play, pause, tear down client will send, then we will simply ignore them, because we are not going anywhere from init by those three methods. So if only setup method will send by client, then only we will move to ready state. So as I have said, if state is init and our request type is setup, then we will change that state to ready, and we will open the file which we want to stream to the client by video stream class. But if we will not be able to open that file, then we will tell client that there is one error, and we will reply to client that file was not found if video stream class unable to open that file. Now let us look at the video stream class, that how it is actually converting the our frame and sending to client. So this is video stream. In this video stream we have got file name from the server worker, and we will open that file, and if we unable to open that file, then we will raise error. And there are two more functions in this video stream class, that is next frame function, and second one is frame number. So frame number function will simply return the frame number of present frame, and next frame function will return the data of the next frame. Now when we started video stream, after that we are generating one random RTSP session ID for the client. Then we reply to client that by OK 200 that we have got your message, and everything is fine. After that we will collect RTSP RTP port from request by splitting. Now now let us look at that how reply RTSP work while sending 200 OK message or file not found 404 message. So this is reply RTSP function. Here if message is 200 OK, then what reply RTSP function do, that it will create one reply string that contains message, sequence number, and whatever store in the client info directory for session, and then it will connect to the socket and send that reply message to the socket. Here we have encoded that message in UTF-8 language. But if the code equal to file not found error, then we will simply print that file was not found, and if code is connection error, then also we will simply print that connection we are unable to connect, that means connection error. Now go back again and here. So first so now we are in the our ready state. Now if we are in the ready state and our request type is play, then what will we do? Let me show you in the state diagram. So here if we are in ready state and our method is play, then we will change our state to playing. So here also, as you can see, we have changed our state to playing, and we have printed that processing play. Now as we all know that for playing we need to transmit one by one frame to the client, so that client can do video stream on his GUI. GUI. So now for transmitting, we are assigning one socket to the RTP socket by client info directory. Then we will reply to client that we have listened your request and everything is okay by reply RTSP 200 okay message. Now for transmitting, here we are creating one thread for transmitting our frames to the client. Here as here threading dot event, two functions we have used for creating our thread. First is threading dot event and second one is threading dot thread. Now here in thread, as you can see in this description, there are some functions assigned to threading class, in which some functions are set and run close functions. After that we are starting that thread to transmitting the data. Now let us move to the pause playing. So here pause, our pause method. Now if we are in the playing state and client says that pause, then we need to stop transmitting, for and go back to ready state. So here we are changing our state to ready, and we are here stop our thread also. Here what set function do is, there is one flag in inbuilt module, that if that flag is set to true, then our thread will wait for a client, and if that flag is false, then we will send the data. So by set the flag will be true, and we will not send data to the client, and our thread will be in the waiting mode. And we will reply to the client that we have got your message, and we have stopped transmitting data. Now let us look at tear down. So what tear down is basically do, it will close the socket and stop transmitting data to the client, and our connection will be closed. So for tear down, let me go back into state diagram. Here as you can see, for playing and ready both states, if tear down calls, someone calls tear down, then we will go back to init process, sorry, init state. So here so for any state, if tear down method come from client, then we will simply close our socket and stop transmitting data to the client, and tell client that we have stopped transmitting by this 200 OK message. Now let us look at send RTP function. So basically what send RTP function do, it will send one by one frame to the client for video streaming. Here wait 0.05 means we are waiting for that much time for sending continuous frames. So for that what thread will do, it will send one message to the client, then wait for 0.05 second, then again send another frame like that. Now here what it will do, that it will first check that whether our thread is our state is push or tear down. So sorry, our method is push or tear down. So it will check by this thread flag, that if the flag is true, then our thread is in wait mode, so we should not transmit data to the client, so it will simply break. But if flag is false, that means we should transmit data to the client. So for that here we are simply storing our next frame from our file, and storing that data to this data variable. And if video sorry, our file is not empty or not completed yet, then this data have some information in it. So if that information is present in data, then what we will do is we will extract extract frame number from video stream class by frame nbr function. Then we will try to transmit our frame to the client. For that we are extracting our address and port number, so that we can transmit our frame to particular port and particular address. Then we will make make RTP function to create RTP message that contains address, port number, payload, like that data, and send that data to the client through the socket, RTP socket. So let us look at that how this make RTP function works. Before that, here if we fail to transmit data to the socket, then we will simply print that there is one connection error, we are not able to transmit our data. Now let us look at make RTP function. Here make RTP function, there are these are version, then padding. So these all are bits and numbers used for encoding. Here as we can see, RTP packet dot encode function, by that we are encoding our data using UTF-8 language and simply returning that packet to this send to function, and that send to function will send that packet to the client. Now we have early seen our reply RTSP function, and let us now look at RTP packet py. Now this RTP packet.py file, what it will do, it will simply encode our data of frame and then and payload, and make one single packet that we can transmit to the our client for security reasons. Here there are some function. First one is encode, that encodes our payload and other headers in one packet. So this is code for that. This is whole code for encoding our payload. After that there is one decode function. Decode function will decode our data and extract header and payload from our sent packet. Then there is version, that returns version of RTSP. Then sequence number, that returns sequence number, timestamp, payload, and all these functions. So now let us look at client side implementation. In a client side, first we are extracting four variables. First is server address, second is server port, third is RTP port, and fourth is file name. So we are getting this for information from terminal. Now after that we are creating one GUI. For fast GUI we are using T-Kinter. After that we are constructing one client object and assigning one our GUI. Second is server address, server port, RTP port, and file name to that client object. After that we are giving it one title, RTP client, and starting main loop for the root. After that let us look at client.py. In client.py first we are initializing our states and assigning 0 to init state, 1 to ready state, and to playing state, and we are creating 4 methods: setup, play, pause, and tear down, as shown in server side implementation. After that, we are initializing our state with init. Then we are defining our RTSP version and transport control, which is used for transfer to the data. After that, in our init function, we are basically we are constructing our GUI. For that, this is we are assigning server address, port address, RTP port, and file name, which we got from client launcher to this class object variables. After that, we are calling connect to server function to connect our socket to the server socket. So let us look at to connect to server. Here in connect to server function, we are creating one socket that can connect to the server side socket. For that, as we can see here in this code, we are connecting our socket to server side socket with this server address provided by client launcher, and server port also provided by client launcher. So now here, as you can see, after that, let us move to create widget function. Here now, here in it, after initializing socket, we are also building our GUI. So let us look at how we will build our GUI. Here this is code for building our GUI. We will show later that how our GUI look. After that, there are main 4 buttons in our GUI. First is setup button, second is start, third is pause button, and final one, fourth is tear down. So now let us look at setup button. In setup button, when client will push our setup button, we will call setup movie function. So let us look at implementation of setup movie function. In a setup movie function, what we basically do, if our state is init, then we will simply send a request to our server that we want to set up video stream. For that, we are using send RTSP request function. Now let us go back to create widget function. Now after a explanation of setup button, let us look at start button. So what start button do is, it will play our video stream in the GUI. So for playing a video stream to GUI, receiving packages, we are using play movie function. So now let us look at play movie function. Here in play movie function, if our state is ready, then only we can play our movie, as we have seen earlier. Here as we can see, if our state is ready and method is play, then only we can play our video stream. So for that, first we are creating our thread, and for creating our thread, we need to listen to the RTP packets. For that, we are using listen RTP function. So here is our listen RTP function. Here what we are doing is, first we are setting our buffer size to 20,480 bytes for, and storing that packet data to this data object. If we got that data from our server. Then what we will do, we will create one RTP packet object. Then through that object we will decode our packet, uh, and after that we will extract frame number by RTPacket dot sequence number function. After getting that frame number, we will print that we got this frame number, and now we will stream that packet with that frame number on our GUI. Yeah, but here we need to look at one thing, that if our current frame number uh, is greater than means the frame number that we got from received packet is greater than our past frame number, then only we will stream that that package. For streaming that package, we use write frame and get payload functions that were inbuilt in our modules. After that, if we didn't got data, then there are two for that. If our thread is in push or tear down, then we know that we need to close our connection. So we will just break the while loop, and if our client want to close the connection, then tear down SCK flag will be 1, and we will simply shut down socket, close socket, and break our loop. So now let us go back to create widget function. In here, as we have seen start button, now let us come to pause button. For a pause button, we also have one function, that is pause movie function. In pause movie function, we basically do if our state is playing, then we will send a request to the server that we want to pause the movie, so stop sending packets. That is only thing we do in pause movie function. After that, let us look at tear down button. If client push tear down button, that means client want to now client no more want to get data, and client want to close the connection. So for that we have one function, exit client function. So this is exit client function. Here what we are doing is we will send server we will request server to close the connection. For that we are sending a RTSP request to server with tear down method. Then we will destroy our GUI, because we don't want to get further data, and also we will remove cache that stored in our memory. Now after widgets, create widgets, the last one is now let us go under. Now as we have seen setup movie, exit client function, all of these function we have seen. Now we will go to update movie function. Here in update movie, this function basically updates our frame in our GUI. After that there is one function, connect to server. This connect to server initialize our socket, and then initialize our socket and connect to the server. Then this is send RTSP request function. In this function we have some conditions. First condition is if our request code that is set up and our state is in it, then what we will do, we will construct one a request that we want to send to the server, and in that request we will tell server that we want to set up our uh, video stream. After that, there is one more, that is, if our status request code is play and state is ready, then we will increase our RTSP sequence number by 1 and store our past sent request in request sent variable. Same, we will, if our request code is paused and state is playing, then also we will do same thing, store our past request and increase RTSP sequence number by 1. After that, here we have constructed our request message. For sending that request message to the server, what we will do, we will first encode it by UTF-8 language and then send it to RTSP socket and print that our request is sent, and print that request. Now let us look at receive RTSP reply function. Here in receive RTSP reply function, basically is it receives RTSP reply from server for and if we got a reply from server, then we will decode that reply and uh, and then we will decode that reply. If and then if the request sent is tear down, then we know that we need to shut down the socket. So we will first shut down and then close the socket. Now let us look at press RTSP reply function. In this function, first we will extract our sequence number from reply, then we will process only if the server's reply sequence number is the same as request number. After that, we will assign new RTSP session ID. If only if session ID is 0, then we will process if our session ID is same as session, then server, we discovered earlier that if everything is okay, then server will send 200 okay message. So if here we got 200 okay message, then what we will do is if and in that message if request sent is set up, then we will change our state to ready and we will open our RTP port. Then and if our request sent is play, then we will change our state to playing. If request sent is paused, then we change our state to ready and so on. After that, let us look at open RTP port function. In this function, what this function is do, it basically opens RTP socket and binds to specific port that was provided by client launcher. That is only thing that open RTP port function do. After that, last function, that is handler. What handler do is if our video stream is going on and we are closing our GUI, then it will ask us that whether you want to quit or not. If we say yes to quit, then it will call exit client function. Otherwise, simply if we don't allow, then it will call play movie function that we have seen earlier. So now I will show you project demonstration. So first I am running server.py in one terminal, and then for initializing client side, I will run client.py and provide IP server address, port number, file name, etc. Here, as you can see, client has constructed one GUI, and first I will push setup button Then client will send setup request to the server, and server uh, uh, send back acknowledgement. Now I will push play button. So server will start sending packets to the client, and client will stream that data. Now when I pause, push pause button, client will send a request to server that client want to pause the stream. So server will stop sending data and acknowledge client. After that, again, if I push play button, then client will say server that I want to again play video stream. So server will again start sending data to the client. Now let us wait until server uh, completes transmission of video stream. So now as we can see, our video stream transmission is completed. So now if I push tear down button, then my video stream will end, and client request server that client want to stop transmission of data, so server will acknowledge the client. So this is all about video streaming using RTSP and RTP. Thank you.